welcome to episode 22 of the Woolly Mammoth Fibre Company podcast. I'm Emma, if you don't know that already, and I do a bit of natural dyeing and stuff. Anyway, I'm sure you know about me, and if you don't, thanks for clicking on me and watching the podcast for the first time. And I'll have some details down below where you can find me on other places on the internet. But yes, I thought I would do a little episode. Last week I didn't do one because I was just too tired, and I took Friday off after, I think I died. Did I die every day last week? Maybe. And I was quite tired, so I took Friday off. I had intended to do podcasts on Friday, but I didn't do one. And the week before that I did do one, but I was quite rushed. So this is the first one in a little while that feels a bit more calm and a bit more composed. But anyway, thanks for sticking with me, and I am going to get stuck in because unlike the last day, I actually have quite a bit of stuff to show you that I have been working on. Like to actually start today with some cross stitch, which I did show in the last episode, but I hadn't finished off the bookmark. So it's in a book that I'm reading that I got in the library. It's quite interesting. I keep falling asleep every time I try to read it, even though I find it really interesting. But yeah, this is it here. And the bookmark is finished. So it's a pattern by little plastic covers, and it's my first cross stitch since I was maybe in primary school, and I really enjoyed it. It was good fun. I did it quite quickly. I became slightly obsessive working on it at lunchtime, tea time, every spare moment I had. So yeah, it was a very fun and addictive experience. And last time I said I was going to finish it off with some ironable interfacing, but I obviously didn't have any of that and I didn't want to wait, so I just kind of folded it over and sewed it up and then thread the edges, which is not very professional looking probably, but I think it's fine. Yes, I did make a few mistakes in this, but maybe you can't see them, so I'll not tell you about them. But yes, I had bought another pattern from her, which I think I will do, but just not right away. I would actually quite like to try some more traditional embroidery. Haven't got around to that yet, but that's one thing that I do intend to have a go at. I have a relative who's a very talented embroiderer, and she keeps egging me on to try something. But I'm not at her standards, so it will not look as good as that. So knitting. Okay, so I am still working on my Rita socks. I didn't work on them at all maybe for 2 weeks again. The mojo for that has kind of just gone down again. I don't know why. I think it's just socks. I'm just not quite as into them as I used to be. However, I have since the last episode I was talking about sock gauge. No, that was 2 episodes ago. I was talking about sock gauge and what is the best sock gauge, and yeah. So anyway, I basically decided to see if I'm a very loose knitter, so I wanted to see if I could try and achieve a really tight sock gauge. So I ordered some 1.5mm needles and some 1.75mm needles. I've only used the 1.5 so far, and I decided to knit swatch to see what sort of gauge I would get with these, because I was previously knitting with the 2mm, but I actually think it was too loose. So cast on 64 stitches with the 1.5mm needles. These are, can't remember what they are. No, it's not coming to me. But anyway, so ordered those and cast on for swatch. I just cast on completely in the round and started knitting to see what I would get. So my gauge was coming in at something like 35 stitches per 8.5 centimeters, I think. So that is an incredibly like tight sock gauge. I think perhaps that's why I'm not super speedy with it, because it's not really exciting to knit something so dense because it takes really long. Everything's really slow. But look how dense that is. Like, it stands up by itself, which is a really good sign, I think. And also, like, whenever I try to put my finger through it, like, it's really good. So it's so tight. So yeah, I think this is probably going to be and it's about the right size as well. So I was knitting the swatch, and I decided just to make it into a pair of socks of my own design, so to speak. So I've just knit the heel flap. It's just like a slip stitch heel, and I'm going to turn the heel soon. This was just an old colourway of my natural sock. I think it was honeysuckle, but it was like an old version of it, so it's quite different. So yes, I'm just going to knit this sock, see if it fits and see how it feels. Then I will try swatching the 1.75 and see how many stitches. But yeah, this is good so far, and I want it to make a really tough sock that would be good for when I play badminton and just for general wear. So this is my natural sock experiment thus far, and yeah, if this works out well, I'll probably just do this every time, as obviously a denser sock is a better sock and it's going to last way longer than if you knit on like a 2.25 or something. And although it doesn't look that different in the needle size, it can make a massive difference to how long it wears, I think. So that is that little particular experiment. Next thing, I picked up my scale glassware like maybe over the weekend. I was working on something else and I couldn't work on it anymore because I didn't have the yarn I needed. So I decided to pick up my scale glassware and tackle a few things that I've been meaning to do on it for quite some time. So my scale glassware is design by LB Hand Knits. LB Hand Knits, that is. She is a designer living in Donegal, and yeah, so I knitted this in my Jacobs yarn, which was a limited edition yarn that I had for sale a few months ago. It sold out very quickly and it's a beautiful yarn. And when I picked this up again, I just remembered how lovely this was to knit with, and I really enjoyed it, and I actually knitted pretty quickly on it. So I had a bit of a quandary, because in the design when I tried this on, the neck was really wide. So basically what I did was I picked up all the neck stitches and decreased 2 rounds. So I did the first round, I picked up all the stitches, and then the next round I did knit 5, knit 2 together, and then on the next round I did knit 4, knit 2 together, and then I did the I-cord bind off. However, the first time I did it, I continued on and did knit 3, knit 2 together. That went over my head fine, but when I did the I-cord bind off, it did not fit over my head, so I had to rip that out again, which was quite faffy. And I estimated that if I ripped back to the knit 4, knit 2 together, it would fit me really perfectly. So that is what I did. Cast off again, brilliant. Okay, so that was the first thing I had to tackle about it. So now it sits really, really well on. I'll try it on and show it to you. The other thing I had to do was I had a little problem with the sleeves, because in the pattern the sleeves are kind of like 3/4 lengths with a lace section here. So you actually, I don't think you decrease at all. And so I was knitting. I had knit down to my wrist, and I was decreasing 2 stitches every 10 centimeters. I think I explained this before, instead of 2 stitches every 10 rows. So I had to rip the sleeve back to where this stitch marker is, and the whole way down here I was only decreasing 2 stitches every 10 centimeters until I got to here, and I tried it on and I was like, this is so flappy around my wrists. So then I had to do a pretty sort of quick decrease. So I did decrease in 2 stitches every 5 rows instead of every 10, and it fits really well, which I'm actually really surprised about. And it doesn't look like too weird. I mean, you can see like it going up, but it's not too weird. And I didn't do any of the lace, and I just did the I-cord bind off. I love an I-cord bind off, it looks so polished. So yes, so I'm now on the second sleeve, which I'm just going to do the same way as I did the first sleeve, just so that they're the same. And then I think I'm gonna have this finished in a few days, because it is so, I just love working with this wool. It's just so rustic, and I hate using that word, it's so overused, but like I can't think of a better way to describe it. Actually I can, I'll give it a go. When I work with this yarn and when I wear this wool, it reminds me, it takes me back to a different place in history. So it really, like these Jacob sheep really have been around for a long time, and like people in like the, I don't know, like the Middle Ages or something could have been wearing them. And whenever I try it on like this and wear this kind of wool, it kind of transports me to a different place. I don't know if that's a bit of an overstatement, but like it has so much character, and it just has so, I feel like it has stories to tell. Do you know what I mean? Like it really has its own character, and it kind of connects you with like how old knitting is and how people used it to survive like a way back in history. That's when I look at this and whenever I wear this, that's like what I think. And that's why I like wool, and really woolly wool, and yeah, so that's my description of this. I'm gonna buy more Jacob's fleeces off the farmer this year, so I will have it again. And I love the natural colour of it, and it's just going to be so nice to wear, and I can't wait to show it to you when the lacework is all blocked out, because it will be much more nice looking. So I'm getting on like a house on fire with this, and absolutely loving it. So I think I realised as well, I really like knitting sweaters, and I'm not that keen on socks. I'm not even that keen on small accessories. I don't know why. I just love knitting sweaters. Like, give me a sweater any day. So fun. So that is this. Next thing I want to show you is a little thing that I have been meaning to do for some time for my aunt. She asked me if I could knit some dishcloths for her, which, let's face it, it's not very exciting knitting dishcloths, and it kind of feels like a waste of my knitting time. However, I know very well that when you go to use a knitted dishcloth, that it just feels so much better than any other type of dishcloth. And therefore it feels like it's worth it to make them. And I mean, they only take like half an hour or something, and I'm not a fast knitter. I just cast on something like, I don't know, 30 stitches or something, and just knit. And I don't really like cotton, like knitting with cotton, compared to wool anyway. So it's not exactly super fun, but I just think knitted dishcloths are the best. They're so good. So I have to knit her another one, and then I'm going to knit myself some because my dishcloths are all in holes. There are very few that I have. I haven't ever knitted myself a dishcloth. I think I've knitted them for other people, but never for myself. So I'm going to make a little stash of knitted dishcloths for myself. And I'm going to give these to my aunt. So I hope she appreciates them. If she watches this, I don't know. So another thing I have been working on is the saga of this goes on and on, of this shawl that I'm designing. I don't know how long ago this was when I started making the first one. I think it was 2020, what are we in now, 2020, I think I knitted the first version of this March 2019, so over a year ago. I knitted the first version of this shawl that I'm designing. It came out okay, but I wanted to make some changes. Fine. So I gave the first version away to my granny, and then maybe a few months ago I cast on another version to see if I could improve it, but the yarn I was using didn't quite have the right vibe that I wanted. I started with the first one I knitted was in used wool, which worked nicely. The last version I cast on was with my Cumbrian 4-ply, which I didn't feel worked as well. I'm not sure why, but I do think it could work really well in the Jacobs when I get more of that, like a one colour version. So I had the whole shawl knitted like right up to the lace section, and then I decided to rip it all out again. And then I decided to cast on in my BFL Gotland base. It's 4-ply worsted spun, and I decided, yes, this has the right vibe. It feels nice. I like how it's looking. So here we go again. So I spent a lot of the weekend working on this. I do have a name for it, but I don't want to reveal it yet. So you'll have to stay tuned in for to another episode to see what it's called. But basically, it's a traditional shawl shape there's going to be a lace section and then some more garter. And I hope to dye the second colour for this. I don't think I'll get it done today. I could maybe do it tomorrow, so I can start working on it for the weekend again. So this will be a pattern that I will publish eventually. I'm not putting myself under any pressure to have a date or something like that. I'm just taking it all very slowly because I don't really know what I'm doing, and I'm not very good at maths. But I'm just working on it here and there, and I'm trying to enjoy it and just knit on it normally, not like have like a day where I sit down and knit on my design. I'm just trying to do it as I want to do it and as it feels fun to me. So that's why it's so slow, and also I'm a super slow knitter. So, but yes, I'm really happy with how it looks now. I had to, while knitting this, I had to rip this out several times because I made mistakes. And I got to this point actually where I'm at now, and I have one stitch too many, and I have no clue where it's come from, and I can't see. So I'm just going to have to fix that little mistake as I go along, because I'm not ripping it out again. Especially when you can't see where the mistake is, it would be crazy to rip it out again. But yeah, so the next colour I'm going to use is going to be I think peony or Carrie's dark peony. So it'll be a 2-colour shawl. And if I ever get around to publishing it, I'll probably do kits for it as well. It would be really nice as well, I think, in my natural sock, but I really want to knit it in this one. Yeah, so when I get to the next section, this will look a lot more interesting. So yes, I have been knitting up a storm, been doing pretty well. Repairs section. Okay, so I had a few repairs to do. I repaired my husband's hat. The dog had ripped the pom-pom off, so I had to make another pom-pom. That was a 5-minute job, but it's just one of those little things that I had been putting off, and eventually I just decided to do it at the weekend, so I did that. But a slightly more major repair that I decided to do was on my Rodari. So as a lot of you know, this is my beloved sweater that I wear all the time, and I've wore it basically every day for 2 years, and it's only just starting to need repair now. But I mean, I wore this like every day pretty much. So basically what had happened was, at the elbow, it had started to wear quite thin. So I decided, after watching the Gentle Knitter podcast, that I would put a patch on. So I just was rifling through my material drawer to see what I had, and I had a bit of this Ray Stitch spotty fabric left, and I decided to go for a visible mend. So basically I just cut it out with the pinking shears, put it over and started sewing. I'm not a really talented sewer, but I just, as you can see, it's pretty not done very well, but I really am really pleased with the look of it. So I went around all the edges and to try and get all the little stray bits of material like locked in. There, you can see that. Oh, sorry, it's wobbly. And I just use embroidery floss to do that, 2 strands of it. And I really enjoyed doing this, and it worked really, really well. And it almost looks and feels as if it's quilted now. Just worked brilliantly, so that was good. And then I was looking on this sleeve. See this little patch? That is starting to go, and the next month that'll be gone, I think. So I'm going to do the same here. And it's funny that they're on, well actually it's not funny, I know exactly why. One is here, one is here. It's because this sweater has no front or back. There's no short rows on it. So I wear it both ways around, which is kind of good because it means it spreads about, you know, what side the elbow's on, so you're not wearing out one side so much. So I actually really like the fact this doesn't have short rows. I don't always feel that you need short rows. I certainly haven't with this sweater anyway, and I would really recommend this pattern. It's really, believe it or not, it's actually a very easy pattern. I think it was maybe the first sweater I knit for myself, and I find it so much easier than lots of other patterns that I've ever knitted. Don't be put off by the colour work. It's just like colouring in. There's really nothing to it. It's just swapping colours. And yeah, it's knit from the bottom up, which I also find a lot easier to kind of understand how the whole thing works. And yeah, so this is my beloved sweater, and of course I had to fix it. So yeah, and this is called the Rodari sweater. I knitted one for my granny, but I don't think she's wore enough to need patches on yet. So I think that's all for repairs. This week I hope to maybe do this patch before it completely goes. And I have a few other things to repair, I think. yes, I have a pair of dungarees that needs a few stitches in them, and I think that's it, everything. So, well, maybe I have a hat that needs a bauble on it, so I might do that. So, last but not least, is my quilt. My patchwork quilt that I started. I think I started it last December, approximately. So if any of you don't know about what I did, so like I had quite a bit of just fabric that I had collected and really liked, didn't know what to use it for. I had tried to use it in various different things. It didn't work, and then in the end I decided to unpick all the stitches and use all the fabric in my quilt because I thought it would show it off really nicely. So I cut out all the squares, patched the front all together, and then I had to wait like quite a long time to order supplies. So I had to order the batten, and then I had to order safety pins. I tried to get the basting spray, but it can't be posted ever, so you have to always buy it from a shop. So I didn't get that. In the end I decided to go with the safety pins, and also then you're not breathing in all the kind of nasties. So got the safety pins, also they don't run out, which is great. I took one day, it must have been a few weeks ago now, it was a whole afternoon. I got the linen for the back, got the batten, got the front, and attempted to piece them together. It took me 3 or 4 hours because the batten was exactly the size of the front, so I had to make sure that it was exactly the right size. When I pinned it, I had to make sure that everything lined up perfectly. Otherwise, when I go to sew it, it would have been all over the place. So it took me a whole afternoon, maybe like 4 hours or longer. And it's not massive. It just covers a double bed. So I got that done, and it's now sitting on the guest bed, ready to sew. And I was researching what sort of things I would need to finish it off. So the relative that I was talking about, who's really good at embroidery, is also really good at patchwork and everything to do with sewing. So I was texting her, asking her like, what do I need to finish this off? And she was saying, oh well, you need a walking foot, that'd be a really good thing to get. And that's it really. So I was researching the walking foot for my sewing machine, couldn't find what I was looking for, and I kind of got a bit frustrated, so I decided that I was going to hand sew it. So I know what you must be thinking. I'm thinking the same thing. Will I ever finish this? So anyway, I decided that I had so much fun with my patch that I would just give it a go. I really like this look, and I really enjoyed doing this. So yes, I think I'm just going to go for it. So I ordered the thread, a good needle and a thimble, and my next when I start this, that I'll be quilting perhaps for quite a few months. I don't mind if the stitches are kind of big because I like that look. And then when that's done, I will have to do the binding. So that's quite a large project to do, but I didn't really enjoy piecing the 3 bits together. I quite enjoyed doing the patching. I didn't really enjoy cutting out the squares, but I think the quilting bit's going to be the bit that I really enjoy. So I am very excited about that. So as soon as my thread comes, I am going to get started. So a couple of wee shop things that you might be interested in. The first one is the launch of a new base, or more a reveal of a new base. This is a base that has been in the works for about 2 years, so quite a long time. the reason it took so long was the mill was moving from one place to another, and I kind of got caught up in that move basically. So yes, the base is a Dorset alpaca base, and it will be launched in probably a few months when I have time to dye it up. And the Dorset is from a friend of a friend who lives in Donegal, and the alpaca is from a friend of a friend. No, well, she's not really the friend of a friend. She's a girl I kind of met on Instagram who kept alpacas in County Tyrone, and she had a few alpaca buddies that had some fleeces, and I bought them off them and sent it along with the Dorset. So it's probably something like 80% Dorset, 20% alpaca, I would guess. The guy at the mill wasn't sure. He couldn't remember because it had been so long since the fibre had come in. Yeah, so I'm gonna show it to you. I'm very, very pleased with it. It's a lovely base. And sourced as locally as possible from Ireland and Northern Ireland, all from this island. And I haven't knitted a swatch with it yet. I do intend to knit a swatch with it. Probably will do that in the next week or so. It's been a while since I've done this. I always use my Alpenglow twister now. So I would say that, I'll show you my Cheviot and my natural sock for comparison. So there's quite a big colour difference. This is the Cheviot, this is the Dorset alpaca. This one's a lot creamier and the Cheviot's a lot whiter. The natural sock is also whiter but more similar in colour. I don't know if the camera shows this as well as you can see it in real life, but this obviously has an impact on the final colour when you dye it. So anything I dye on this base is probably going to be slightly warmer toned. It's actually incredibly soft. It's woolen spun also. It's finger and weight, forgot to say that. And it's very lofty and actually very soft, which is really nice. I think it'll be really, really lovely to knit with, and yeah, it'll be a good one, I think. So I'll be able to tell you more when I've swatched it and blocked the swatch. But yeah, it's easier to compare things than it is just to talk about them on their own. So compared to the Cheviot, it has no kimp at all. It is more, it's just different. I'm at a loss for words. It's a lot more, it's definitely softer, I would say, than the Cheviot, although it's slightly more buttery, slightly more, I wouldn't say it's more sleek, but it's more, I don't know. You'll just have to try it and see, and you can tell me what you think. But yeah, so I'm going to be launching this in a couple of months, and I'll insert a picture of the label here. It was designed by my friend Anna, who designs all of my labels pretty much. And yeah, oh, I forgot to say this, it was spun in Bridlington in the east of England. Yeah, so just in case you're interested. Yes, other shop things. I will have tomorrow night. This may take longer to upload than than whatchamacallit, than it takes to, but it might be sold out by the time this goes up on YouTube, but I'm just going to show you a little snippet anyway. I'll not show too much, but yes, there will be another Irish summer by the sea. The last one I did was spring by the sea, yarn, tea and mug club. We will be doing it again, but this time it's for the summer. So I'm just going to show you a little bit of what the mug will be like. Okay, that's all I'm showing you. And that gives you an idea of some of the colours that I'm kind of going to be going off. For the next one, we will have more spaces than last month tomorrow night, but again, it's limited spaces just because we can only make so much between myself and the potter. So I actually have quite a lot of questions here still to answer from the questions that I put out on Instagram. If you had any questions, I still have quite a bit of stuff here. I think this episode is probably long enough for today, so I will record a separate part with the questions in, and if you're interested to watch that, I will put that up as well at some point. Okay, so yeah, I'm just gonna wrap this up. I think that's everything for today. Thanks for tuning in, and yeah, I look forward to hearing what you think about my projects down below. So